in for Chad doing tonight. We have Chris Burkhart here as well. And, Bill Walton debuted a NBA Throw It Down live tonight on the NBA app. And I want to play a little bit of that for you because he talked about Damian Lillard. And, of course, those are your two all-time Blazer greats, right? Bill Walton, arguably the greatest Blazer of them all, brought home the team's only title. Dame Lillard, of course, the team's all-time leading scorer, also arguably the greatest Blazer of them all. And it's always fun hearing Bill Walton talk about Damian Lillard. So this was his NBA Throw It Down live show. He did it with Jason Benetti, who's a great sportscaster for Fox Sports. They had various guests on, but this is Bill Walton comparing Damian Lillard to the Grateful Dead.
Damian Lillard is climbing the all-time points list. He is.
He's climbing the all-time everything list.
Well, of course he is. He's a great player.
Well, he's incredibly durable. He's powerful. He's creative. He's got the 10th most popular jersey in the NBA. Today, Steph is number 1, LeBron number 2, Giannis and Luka and KD follow them up. So, I mean, what he does, and he's very much like a Grateful Dead song. He has taken the spectacular, the unexpected, and he's made it familiar.
Damian Lillard is climbing the all-time points list.
There is Bill Walton and Jason Benetti breaking it down, talking about Dame Lillard and the Grateful Dead. I just thought that was fun to play. That was the show that debuted tonight with Bill Walton. He cycled through various peace sign shirts, various tie-dye shirts, a couple Portland Trailblazers tie-dye shirts in there. But it was fun to watch Dame, man. 37 tonight, and he was just on his game. Like I said, I thought there was a lot of great shot making from both sides, quite frankly. Doug McDermott got loose. He was 3 of 3 from downtown. I mean, the Spurs essentially play like – so I covered Paul Westhead when he was the U of O women's coach. This was maybe a decade ago. And they are the 7 seconds or less, and quite frankly, 5 seconds or less at times, type of offense where the Spurs just chuck it, and it either goes in or it doesn't, and then they run back. Even though they're not particularly a sharpshooting three-point team, they were 13 of 27 from downtown tonight. Meanwhile, how about this for the Blazers? They hit 20 threes, 20 of 33 from downtown. That is 60% from downtown. So the Portland Trailblazers improve to 22 and 25, a couple games under 500, but they are over 500 at Moda Center, 12 and 10 on the year. We'll take our first break. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Preston Highfield sitting in for Chad Dewing, Chris Burkhart alongside as well. Feel free to call us in. Give us your take on the game tonight and where the Blazers are at so far this season. Always fun to chat after a win. 147-127. We'll be back with more fifth quarter after this on your home with the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Back on the fifth quarter, Preston Highfield, Chris Burkhart with you. Chad doing off tonight. Blazers over the Spurs, 147-127, in what was essentially a game that was an all-star game that broke out tonight at Moda Center. Love that our phones are lighting up. Let's go out to the phones right now. We'll start with Ken in Vancouver, who is on the line, has been patiently waiting. So let's get out to the phones and go to Ken, my man Ken. Chris, can we fire up Ken? Appreciate you. All right, Ken in Vancouver, what's going on, man?
Hey, good evening, Preston.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Hey, first off, I want to give you kudos. I don't really listen to a lot of high school basketball, but I wanted to hear how you were going to do, and I've listened to 2 games now. The one, this recent one, the Wilsonville LaSalle game was fantastic, and then of course the West Lynn game with Cleveland. And you're great, man. You're really great, really smooth. I mean, that's good stuff. I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you, dude. That's super nice of you. I love play-by-play, and I'm happy for the opportunity, and I appreciate your feedback, man. That's really nice of you.
Well, it comes through. It comes through on the broadcast. You can tell you're well schooled on the players. I mean, I'm like, wow, man. I mean, you can tell that you're doing the work, and that's what it's going to take for you to hit the big time. And I'm just glad you're a part of Rip City, baby.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I'm stoked. Yeah, we got a full season of hoops, and the season goes by fast, but we're doing a couple games a week. We're gonna be out at Mountainside tomorrow night, so. Yeah, Chad's loving it, and the station's loving it, so we appreciate you, man.
Well, hey, like I said, I'll be listening tomorrow night. I'll be, with no Blazer game, I'll be out, making the bread out there, and I'll be listening to the game. So it gives me a chance to. This is a fantastic, scholastic basketball area. It's really one of the kind of gems of America that probably a lot of people don't know about. But basketball's been good here for quite a while, and you're starting to see, with the ESPN now able to broadcast a lot of these games, how good it really is up here.
Totally, yeah. I mean, West Lynn was ranked number 1 in the entire country until they lost to De La Salle last week, but they were literally number 1 in that ESPN high school rankings, which is nuts. We're gonna have, I think, their game against Tualatin those are 1 and 2 in the state in like 2 weeks. So, yeah, the high school's fun, man. Did you catch any of the Blazer game tonight?
It was fantastic. I don't care. A win's a win, and with it being so heavy lately, that was a fun game. It was just enjoy. The offense was really flowing, and guys were hitting their shots. We got Shaden Sharp dunks, which was incredible, and had a nice put a little extra oomph on his slam. Hitting the threes. I mean, San Antonio, you got to hand it to them. They were shooting 70% from 3 at one time. And like I said, in this year's NBA, there's no givens. And, you got to go out and play hard. And I don't care who it is. It felt good tonight. Go Blazers. And I was just proud of them, it's a process. This is a process year. And I don't know if any moves are going to be made. It's very possible, but I'm still always going to be a Blazer fan, and it was fun to watch.
Absolutely, and I like what you said about Shaden, and I'm there too. Watching Shaden rise up and throw down dunks with ease is just a thing of beauty, because you're like, this guy's a teenager. Like, imagine him in 5 years with a more polished game. He hit his threes tonight. Like, I know not to make it about a trade conversation, but every time I see Shaden do something like that, I'm like, all right, I hope the organization does not part with him in any of these potential trade deals.
I don't think they will. I don't think they would have spent a 7th pick on him.
Right.
I think, Cronin and Schmidt really are into this player, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching it and watching his growth. And I expect him to make a huge step, not only the rest of this season, but next year with off-season work. And it's going to be exciting. Before the game, I told my daughter, I said, I said, obviously we want to hit our shots. We've got to win this game. But I said, we haven't seen a sharp dunk in a few games. Matter of fact, I think it was Denver. I said that alley-oop in Denver, and I said, and we got 3 of them. So it was sweet. It was a winner chicken dinner tonight. It was just a good moment. Good feeling, good vibes tonight. And we needed that in Rip City.
Absolutely. Good vibes are back. Always some good vibes with you, Ken. Thanks for the call, man.
Thanks, Preston. Thanks, Chris. Bye.
All right, there we go. That's Ken in Vancouver. Dude always has a super positive outlook on the Blazers, and I love to hear about that. Let's go to Dan in Beaverton. We got the phone lines pretty hot right now. Dan, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Doing well, especially after watching Portland bounce back from what happened last night. Blazers winning by 20 tonight.
Yeah, when the Blazers do what they did last night, I don't call in. I'm just not in the mood to talk about a Blazers loss. You know what I mean?
No one is. You're not alone.
But I did want to pay my respects to Bill Schonley because I grew up with the Shawns, and he was an instrumental part of my Blazer experience early on. And was Chad there last night?
So Chad will be back tomorrow, but no, it was Chris and myself yesterday and today, and Chris and Dwight on the Drive Time show today.
So you kind of fielded a lot of Sean Lee calls in the 5th quarter last night.
Yeah, we did. We had we had a couple of guests on yesterday on game day, Calabro and Kerry Eggers and some people who were kind of close with him over the years. So we kind of got the guest perspective as well. But give me a story or a tribute to the Shawns if you want.
Well, that's not what I was calling about. I was calling about your tape of Bill Walton comparing Dame Lillard to the Grateful Dead.
Okay, there we go. Connected with someone. What do you got?
I'm a deadhead. You know what that means, don't you?
That you enjoyed yourself at some of those concerts?
Yeah, I took my share of LSD, right?
There we go. I would imagine so. I think that's kind of what the vibe is at those concerts. I've never been, but I'll take your word for it.
Hey, man, there is nothing like the Grateful Dead concert. And, Bill Walton would tell you the same thing, and I'm sure he's taken his share of LSD. But I doubt that Dame has ever taken it. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I'd like to hear his story about, what Dame's experience. I don't think Dame does drugs.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not on the level that Bill Walton does, that's for sure. Have you ever taken LSD while watching Dame?
No, I haven't, actually.
Okay.
I haven't even smoked any pot for 30 years.
Oh,
to get that clean sober. I'm in a 12-step program. I haven't had a drink or smoked any pot for 30 years, and that's what turned me around. I'd probably be dead by now if it was not. I'm 67 years old. I'm lucky to be alive, but I've seen my share of Blazer games, and I've listened to enough of Sean Lee to know that it's a great thing for this city, the Trailblazers, and I appreciate you guys continuing on with the tradition.
There we go. Appreciate the call, Dan. Appreciate it very much. All right, that's Dan in Beaverton. I like that. See, I thought that throw it down with Bill Walton would connect with someone. I mean, he's such a figure who people enjoy connecting with, especially here in the PNW and here in the city of Portland, of course. Bill Walton, man. Bill Walton, and I love that he debuted that show for a Blazer game. It looked like they basically took the root feed, and it was Bill talking over it. That was pretty cool. I would encourage people to look it up on Twitter or wherever else. All right, hey, let's keep it going. Let's go out to Crazy Tom, my guy. I know you were calling a lot today. I was producing earlier. We couldn't quite get to you, so I'm glad you called back. What's on your mind, Tom?
Hey, Preston. Thanks. Yeah, it was a good win. What I wanted to say though is that you said something about that this is one of the worst Blazers, or last night's game against the Lakers was one of the worst collapses. And there's probably in like the top 4, but there was another Laker game where we lost game 6, I believe it was. We were up by 16 against the Lakers.
That would be game 7.
Okay, barely 4 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and they came back and beat us. So that's got to be up there. And then there's another game against Dallas about 8 or so years ago. We were up by 40 against Dallas, and they came back. It went into overtime, and they beat us. So that's got to be up there as just a huge collapse, too. But, anyway, the Blazers won. It's sweet. Nurkic and Dame and everybody pitching in, and we finally had like over 40 points off the bench. Another thing I wanted to say, too, is that with Bill Schonely not around anymore, he was one of probably only 3 people that knew what the phrase Steve Snapper Jones meant. Steve Snapper Jones knew it, Bill Schonely knew it, and nobody has ever been able to figure it out, and they've never told anybody. So if you could talk to Chad or, talk to someone and see if that secret, can be explained, because, there's all kinds of ideas out there, but so that's one thing, about, that was Bill Schonely. That's always been a coveted secret about why he was called Snapper. No one could ever figure it out. So anyway, thanks for taking my call. Great win. Good night, everybody.
There we go. There is Tom calling in. And I got to tell you, Tom is a loyal friend of the station. He is a loyal caller. And when I mean loyal, I mean he will call nonstop until he gets on. And I respect that. About Tom. All right, let's go one more call before we go to break. We're pretty hot here. Let's go to the preacher. Let's bring him in. Blazers win 147-127. Hey, preacher, how's it going?
Yo, man, that guy, he sounds like Otto from The Simpsons, right? From Springfield, the bus driver?
Yeah, that's a good reference.
I mean,
Party
he's right
hardy
on.
equals tardy.
I love him. Yeah, he's so fun. Oh man, Sean, you know what? I know the phones are hot, and you're getting into that like segue, but let me tell you this: in the '90s, I was growing up literally in my room by myself, and there was a hoop, and it was a Nerf hoop, and I would listen to the AM radio, and guess who was on with all the jazz of the world? It was the Sean's. He made me a Blazer fan in so many moments that I couldn't even see the TV. So God bless John Curry as well. But with Sean's, it was like I didn't see anything except just hear it and just shoot at this hoop. I had probably the meanest pivot in the suburban hood. I'm not gonna lie, right? I mean, with listening to Sean's moment by moment for an hour after hour, it just became like this. I can't tell the best bedtime story one could listen to at this point. And what you guys do for AM radio and what your guys are accomplishing, man, all I can say about last night's game, and I'll end it at this, is it was nasty.
Appreciate it, preacher. I love it, man. I love hearing about people who grew up with Sean's, because I didn't, right? I mean, I've listened to Sean's a lot over the years. I've YouTubed his calls. I've met him a couple times in person, him and Harry Glickman, and really a lot of the OG Blazers. But it's always fun to hear that kind of direct story of I grew up listening to Sean's at this moment. So definitely appreciate that call. All right, we'll take a break. We're going to come back here on the fifth quarter. We still have our elements to get to, our drive of the night, our shot of the night. You'll hear from Chauncey Billups and Damian Lillard as well. Blazers back in the winning column, 147-127 over the Spurs. We'll be back in a moment. You got the fifth quarter on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Hey there, how we're doing, YouTube. Take a chance to look at some of these chats. I did the same thing to Preston, guys. Watch this. This is so funny. You just ignore me, sir. I'm talking to YouTube. No, just ignore me. There you go. Preston does the exact same thing Chad does. They freak out when I'm talking to you guys. See this? See this guy right here, right there? Yeah, I'm talking to that guy. You know this guy. I'm really confusing him. That's kind of funny. Let's see what's going on there in the YouTube chat. Pop down this music a little bit. You don't need to hear it. First off,
Preston,
everyone talking about
a trade conversation, but every time
Tahiti and all that.
Something like that, I'm like,
Beautiful. There we go. Preston tried to bring his audio up, and then it confused me. It's ridiculous. That's why we're in commercial break. Let's go. Look around here. First off, the Orb is chiming in from Tahiti. That's amazing. I'm going to give him mad props for that. As I said, toes in the sand and chatting on YouTube. Money. Absolute money. He chimes in. Not his vibe. More of a Caribbean guy. That's fair. I just like beaches and warm weather and the ocean. So, yeah, I'll give you that. Got some love here for Snapper. Absolutely loved Snapper. Steve Snapper Jones. We did have Mike Barrett on today. Had him on a couple weeks ago. Talked about that. Like, those guys are the voice of my generation. As much as everyone loves the Shawns. I love the Shawns too, but young enough that I grew up with Snapper. That voice is so iconic, as is Shawns, as is Barrett, everybody, really. Nick wants a statue of all the greats, man. Absolutely. Glickman, give me one. Give me Drexler one. And, of course, Shawns needs to be the first one. I truly believe that. I think he is the Trailblazers. He is the Trailblazers, really, really, really was, and represents everything it means to be a Blazer, which is incredible. And it's unfortunate that he's gone, but it's great that we had him, isn't it? One of the greatest voices ever, one of the greatest personalities ever, one of the best when it comes to being an ambassador to the organization and to the Blazers as a whole. So, yeah, unfortunately he's gone, man. Glad we got to have him here even for a little bit. And Nick also gave Preston and I a shout-out for our work on the last 2 days with some of these Sean's remembrance episodes that we've been doing yesterday, obviously, and did one today on the Rip City Drive. So that's much appreciated. We keep putting in the work. You keep listening. We'll be right back. We're about 20 seconds back to Preston on air.
Welcome back to the fifth quarter. Preston Highfield and Chris Burkhart with you. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Hey, big shout out to all of our homies on YouTube as well. I was just looking through the comments. I got a lot going on back here. I'm looking at the phones. I'm looking at Twitter. I'm looking at my stats. I sometimes I forget to check out YouTube, but I'm looking at YouTube now. And we got a lot of comments in here, Chris. I know you're just talking to him during the break, so
gotta love the YouTube. YouTube's wonderful.
I love it. I love it. All right, we'll get to the YouTube comments in a second here, but before we do that, it is time for our drive of the night.
It's time for the Portland Trailblazers Drive of the Night, here on the fifth quarter, hosted by Chad Dewing, 620 Rip City Radio. Drive of the Night is brought to you by Dick's Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Wilsonville, ready to compete with the lowest prices in town.
Throws it out to the wing for Sohan. Drives on Simon. Stop, steps through. Might have gotten away with the travel. Doesn't matter. He missed it. Nurk comes away with it. Dame now with the long feed to Hart to the rim. Yes! A beautiful pass from Damian Lillard.
Good look ahead by Dame. Way to run the floor hard for Josh Hart.
There we go. So Josh Hart getting it done. Josh Hart 4 of 5 from the field tonight. 9 points, 26 minutes. Awesome win for the Blazers. 147-127. They get the sour taste of the Lakers collapse out of their mouth and snap a 3-game losing streak. By the way, Portland at home against Utah on Wednesday, at home against Toronto on Saturday, and at home against Atlanta on Monday before flying out for a 3-game roadie. So still, this is part of a long, long home stretch, 10 home games in 11 games, and the Blazers will be back at home for the next 3 and back in their beds for the next week or so until they head back out. 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620 is our telephone number. Feel free to call in. Preston Highfield and Chris Burkhart in here with you. Chris, let's bring you in, my man. What did you think of the game tonight and the Blazers putting up nearly 150?
As I tweeted, this date will go down in infamy. January 23rd, 2023, the night that two professional basketball teams played zero defense in the city of Portland.
Could you have gotten a bucket out there tonight?
Guaranteed.
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 Okay, and I'm not familiar with your game, as the great Shaquille O'Neal would say.
Huck it and chuck it. Pray for the best.
Okay.
I would have got at least one. I would have drove to the basket. I would have acted well enough to get a foul. I would have at least got a free throw.
Understood. At least a free throw. So you're drawing fouls. You're getting in there amongst the trees and just kind of,
We'll see.
you know, you have a muscular build. You're like me. You're not the tallest guy, but you have a muscular build. I could see you kind of bullying your way in the lane.
I would try. Yeah, just, like I said, just act a little bit. You're playing the Spurs. They had one of the greatest actors of all time, Manu Ginobili, right? Like, take a page out of his book, hit a free throw, just start chucking them up. I'm confident Average Joe could have hit at least one shot against this defense. Could Average Joe really score against an NBA defense? No, of course not, guys. Don't come at me like I'm, oh, you're an idiot, Burkhardt. There's no way you're 5'8" and overweight. You couldn't do it. Yeah, I know how it works. But it's just a metaphor for how bad the defense was tonight.
Let's hear it on YouTube from our homies out there. I see Ken, I see Jake, Nick, some other folks. Could you have gotten a bucket tonight against this Spurs defense? Not to take away from what the Blazers starters did, which was 119 points in 3 quarters, which, if you didn't catch me off the top of the show, is the most in the history of this proud franchise that has been around since the 70s. That was the most amount of points through 3 quarters. Speaking of buckets, let's get to our other element, our shot of the night.
It's time for the Nothing But Net Shot of the Night here on the 5th quarter, 620 Rip City Radio. The Nothing But Net Shot of the Night is brought to you by Oregon Dungeness Crab. Sustainably harvested, uniquely delicious, and always wild. Oregon Dungeness Crab always sounds good for dinner.
Aim up to the wing in front of Richardson. Top of the key. Slows the ball down. He steps back from the logo. Got it! Damian Lillard from way downtown. 31 for Dame. 111.97.
Dame Dollar getting loose tonight. He'd been in a little bit of a shooting slump, but like all great shooters, they find a way to get out of that slump, and he certainly did that tonight. And, more than just hitting 7 of 11 threes tonight. And, by the way, he did pass Jason Terry to move to 7th all-time in the history of the NBA in made three-pointers tonight. So more totals for Dame, more history, as his career is far from over as well. Going to be awesome to kind of track that. He'll eventually pass some other players as well. Steph Curry currently first all-time with over 3,200 three-pointers. Dame a little over 2,200.
Shocking how good Curry is.
That's a bad man. That is a bad man. Over 3,200 three-pointers for his career. It's
so interesting, Preston, how the game has changed and how he's 3-point centric, and how he's arguably, regardless of the three-pointer being such a important part of today's game, like he's the greatest shooter of all time, like at least in my opinion. What I think is interesting though is when you talk about, like you and I have our debates between like LeBrons and Jordans and stuff. I think it'd be so interesting if you could create some sort of time machine to see that, because like you would never know how guys like Jordan or Isaiah Thomas or Magic would fare in this era and vice versa. But the best of the best would find ways to be good. So, like, how good would MJ be if he were taking 6, 7, 8 three-pointers a game? And how good would, LeBron be back in the day where he could really use his size down low in a game that was a little more inside-centric? Like, I'm not saying, like, oh, the old guys could succeed today. They could. But I think there's a lot of guys like a Curry, a Dame, and a LeBron who could succeed back in the old day as well. So it'd be really cool if there was a way that you could do it. Unfortunately, we can't, so we have to debate it all the time, right? But the way the game changes is so insane to me. Yeah. Like, you think about the old days, right? Oh, they didn't have a three-point shot. They didn't score as much. Well, then they go to the stat of the night for the Blazers, like, oh, they scored 140 points. That's the most points they've scored in a game since 1992. And you go back to, like, Clyde's era, they were putting up points without a three-point shot, just how much different the game was. Pace was crazy. You think guys like LeBron could survive in an era of pace? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. It's a good point. The best of the best would find a way no matter what. I think LeBron's game is probably actually better suited for a more physical era because he's gotten a better jump shot but remember the first 7 or so years of the league, his three-point shot was not good.
Yeah.
Just wasn't a good shooter. It's not natural for him. I mean, he's turned into a quality three-point shooter who you definitely don't leave open. But I'm with you. That's why you play blacktop mode on NBA 2K, and you go Legends, and you put MJ, you put Scotty, you put LeBron, you put Steph. Dude, playing with Steph in a video game is it's like unbelievable because he's a 99 shooter. He doesn't miss from three. No. Like even with a hand in his face, he doesn't miss.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm a big player of NBA 2K, and the first thing I do when I play, because you're not supposed to, but the first thing I do in there is I go and I jack up Damian Lillard's three-point shooting stats because it irritates me that like he isn't like Hall of Fame when it comes to like limitless range or whatever. I'm like, no, the guy hits jump shots from half court, dude. He should be up there with Steph Curry. Come on, darn it.
Yeah. Dude, exactly. I think I saw an article the other day about how Steph Curry broke NBA 2K because they didn't know what to do because they had to put him as a 99 on three-point shooting, but it's just unfair. But it's true. That's why I love playing those Legends modes, getting Wilt out there and getting some of the other all-timers from back then. I play with Clyde. On the all-time Blazers list, I go Dame. Who do I go? I probably go Dame, Scotty, even though he wasn't here for very long. He's on there. Probably go Dame, Scotty, and maybe
for all-time what?
All-time Blazers legends.
Oh, all-time
on blacktop mode on 2K.
Okay.
Like if you can go, because it's usually 3-on-3.
Okay.
So I would go. Who would I go? I would probably go Dame, Clyde, and Bill, or Dame, Scotty, and Bill. I think just to kind of have some balance. It's usually who I would trot out there.
Okay.
But you can obviously put Clyde out there. Some other greats.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah,
I'd mix it up just for the heck of it. If you could just have any Blazer, like I'm gonna go guys who are just gonna go
Steve Blake,
go ham on the blacktop. Yeah, guy like give me Theo Ratliff to lock down the paint. Give me prime Theo though, right? And then give me Mighty Mouse because that just Damon Stoudemire. Mighty Mouse is a blacktop name, right?
Yeah.
Remember an and one was a thing. You got like hot sauce, skip to my loo, Mighty Mouse. It just fits. And then give me someone like Steve Smith because I feel like if push came to shove, he could go ham on the blacktop.
I like it. Blacktop's a different game.
It's
a different game. We need to play video games sometimes, Chris.
Yes,
we'll do it.
Yes, we do.
We'll grab some food and play some video games sometimes. All right, let's take a break. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Your Portland Trailblazers victorious tonight, 147-127. Over the San Antonio Spurs. Blazers now 12-10 at home this year. Gotta love that. 22-25 overall on the young season, although it's approaching the halfway point. We're basically at the halfway point with the trade deadline coming up in a matter of weeks. We're taking your calls. We're taking your tweets. We're taking your YouTube comments. We're chatting. We're having a fun time. Always fun to talk after a Blazers victory. More on the fifth quarter after this on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
All right, let's come in, talk to the YouTube chat again, see what's going on here. Got a few minutes of this commercial break left. Ken says Dame has limitless range in the All-Star games. Dame threes from the other side of half court was the longest three made. He shot it like a regular jump shot. He shoots every shot like a regular jump shot. It's unreal. Curry shot more of a chest pumper from there. I don't care how the shot looks from where he has to shoot it. Curry's still the best shooter ever, in my opinion. Dogcatcher chimes in. Wasn't the three-point field goal instituted in 1979-80? Something like that. I don't know the exact time frame. He says he remembers Supersonics downtown. Freddie Brown, the first three-point season leader. Now it's interesting because I know the three-pointer was around, right? Like I know the three-pointer was around during Michael Jordan's era and during the Blazers era in the 90s. But like Michael Jordan was attempting like 2.5 three-pointers per game. And the Bulls led the league in three-point attempts or something like that, and it wasn't even close to like what Steph Curry's doing. It's unreal. I'll get the numbers for you when we come back. I'll look them up real quick just to give you some context because it's crazy when you think of how the three-point shot has worked itself into being a primary shot. Back in the early days, I mean, the first 10 years there in the 90s all the way to about the 2000s, the three-point shot was an auxiliary shot. You were feeding your big man in the paint. The mid-range was the bread and butter of most players. And then athleticism took over, right? Guys like Clyde, guys like MJ, guys like Magic, who just drive in to the rim, get easy buckets there. But once the three-point shot took over, this changed how offenses ran, changed how defenses had to play too. But yeah, it's been around, just hasn't been the primary shot within the offense. Then analytics came in and people had to tell us that 3 is more than 2 because we didn't know that. And the math tells me that if you take more 3-point attempts and make more of them than 2-point attempts when it's a full moon on a Sunday, that you'll average more points or nonsense like that. Now people have changed their offense because of it. But still basketball, man. It's still fun. That's that. YouTube, you guys are awesome. That's a quick live look in. We're heading back to the Be Right Back screen. Pump the music up, and Preston will be back with you in about 20 seconds.
The fifth quarter poster play of the night is brought to you by Collection Connection, the leaders in framing sports memorabilia, team awards, and so much more. Collection Connection offers you a one-stop, full-service framing experience. Find them online at COLLCONN.com.
Hart looks up court with a hop step, takes it across. Hart, the lob to Sharp, and he flies through the air to hammer it in.
And welcome back to the fifth quarter. Preston Highfield and Chris Burkhart with you on your home of the Portland Trailblazers 620 Rip City Radio. Portland Trailblazers all over the Spurs, 147-127 tonight. Almost hit the 150-point mark for what would have been the 6th time in team history. Team scoring record is 156 points, according to our guy Curtis Long, who's the statistician on the radio broadcast. Also a great PA announcer. He is the voice of the Les Schwab Invitational and some other high school events in the area. I know he's filled in for Mark Mason before, so shout out to Curtis. He's a good dude. Most points that Portland has scored in regulation since 1992 was another stat from this one tonight. And the Blazers hit the McNugget mark, which is the 100-point mark, with 4:40 to go in the third quarter. They had 100 points. 119 through 3 quarters is the most in franchise history through 3 quarters. We still have to hear from Dame and Chauncey Billups, so let's start with Chauncey in tonight's Coach's Corner.
It's time for the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups on Blazers Game Day, presented by Henderson & Daughter. Henderson & Daughter has been supplying superior design service, quality windows, entry doors, patio doors, and window installation to the Portland and Southwest Washington area since 1977. Before you decide to just replace your current windows or exterior doors, have our designers present you with a free in-home design consultation and estimate to show you the different styles we carry that can give your home a fresh new look. Henderson & Daughter, your window and door experts.
Run, and get going and get our offense going. We had a lot of shot making out there tonight. The defense was, wasn't as good. I thought, obviously, in the first half, you're giving up 74, whatever it was, points. But I knew, what we did tonight is really, really hard to do, man. In my experience, just being around, losing a game like we lost last night, it usually has a lasting impact on you. And I'm really proud of my guys for being able to put it aside, and just move on and just worry about the Spurs. It's really, really hard to do. And I'm really proud of my dudes for being able to have the mental fortitude to do so.
Chauncey, in a game like this, you get the win, chasing being better each night. Do you feel like they play with the requisite level of aggressiveness and physicality, the stuff that you've
No, I don't really feel that way. Like I said, it's really hard to do. It was a back-to-back for us. And the one thing about the Spurs, they're very disciplined, and they play really, really fast. And a lot of shots that they got against us tonight, they get against everybody. And so even if we had won that game by 20 last night, this was going to be a tough game. So me as the coach, I got to understand the reality of what it is, who we're playing against, and what's going on. No, I'm not. Was I a little disappointed that we weren't able to put 3 stops in a row together a couple times in the first half? Sure I was. But I also got to understand that these guys, our guys, they played last night. Most of my starters played heavy minutes last night. So I got to account for that as well, So, no, I don't feel that way.
What did you think about Nurk's performance tonight, particularly? It seemed like he had a rough time.
Who's? I'm sorry.
Nurk.
Oh. Yeah, Nurk was really good. We tried to force it into the pocket knowing that they were going to kind of be at the level on the pick and rolls, and we said, Nurk, when you get it, you got to just be aggressive, man. And I thought he did a good job. He finished great around the rim tonight, and I thought defensively, he was hot and cold a little bit, but for the most part, I was happy with Nurk's performance.
With Ant struggling the last couple weeks, probably more so than most guys in the starting group, are you not accepting where he's kind of at right now, but do you think he's on the right track with his aggressiveness and leading kind of that second unit?
I think he is. I think he is on the right track. He's had some ups and downs this year, which is something that we knew would happen. His role is totally different than it was last year, and he's playing alongside his big brother, and it's not easy to pick your spots as well as one would think. And he's also, playing 2 different positions, which is also hard. He starts the game playing the 2. He spends a lot of the minutes running the unit playing the 1. Those are a lot of times 2 different mindsets. And that's a lot to take on for a young guy who is really very inexperienced in this league. So I'm happy with where Ant's at. And, per our conversations, we know where he needs to go. And we talk about how we can get there.
And there is Chauncey Billups in tonight's Coach's Corner. Positive vibes. A stark contrast to what was the press room vibes last night with Dame and Chauncey as the Blazers win 147-127. Dame Lillard also met with the media after this one, and Dame finished with 31 minutes tonight, 37 points, 12 assists, an efficient shooting effort, and a pleased Damian Lillard after the game.
It's time to go inside the locker room with Damian Lillard, presented by Oregon Dungeness Crab. Sustainably harvested, uniquely delicious, and always wild. Oregon Dungeness Crab always sounds good for dinner.
You come into a game like today, even if we win, it's still what happened yesterday, you know what I'm saying? So it's just how much is on your mind when you just care and you realize how much you're affected by it. Sometimes it can linger and it can carry into your next performance. Even in a game like tonight, we could have got into 74-74 at the half and come out tight, oh shit, we might, we could blow it, and now it's 2 losses. So it's definitely tough. So I think we should be proud of the fact that we responded and was able to not just have an easy one, but we had to, fight them for it, and then we had to separate ourselves in the second half of the game. So he's right, it is tough to come back after that mentally, and then to be in a tight game and then have to overcome, a team that's playing fast, they playing to win, they coach well, and have to, take the game pretty much. So, I think we did a good job of that, just responding.
Did you find yourself in the first half when it was kind of close and back and forth? Did you find yourself thinking about oh, here we go again? What if we, this is the way? Did you find yourself doing that?
I mean, no. It was a back and forth game. I thought we were playing well offensively. Ant got it going. Nurk had it going. And, I was pretty comfortable. I didn't like that we were exchanging baskets, but I was comfortable, and I was just kind of sitting back, seeing what was happening, So once we came into halftime, I was able to kind of communicate what I felt like was happening against our zone. You know, like they overload one side and they're getting us, our matchup to begin the zone is messed up. So once they get us to take the ball, you know, one guy's taking the ball, but it's not the matchup that we want on the ball, and then they swing it back and we can't get matched up and they keep getting the corner three. Like, I was able to see it and communicate that because of how we were playing offensively. So now I'm not having to, you know, I'm not gassed, tired, and, you know, not able to pay attention to as many things. I was able to pay attention to a lot of things, and we talked about it at halftime. We talked about some of our double teams that we had at halftime where I thought one thing and Drew thought something else. So I think it was, you know, it was good. So I think because I was able to play that position, the whole time I was just looking like, okay, I feel like if we do this a little bit better, or we change this or address this, it should help us. And I also felt like I was able to get to spots and do certain things offensively to where it was like if it's a close game, I'll be able to get to comfortable places and take over the game offensively too.
Philip said before the game.
All right. So there is Dame in the postgame. A victorious Dame Lillard, 37 points and 12 assists for him tonight. Awesome to see him get loose for 7 threes, 7 of 11 from 3, as he moves into 7th all-time in the history of the NBA in made three-pointers, passing Jason Terry. Blazers win 147-127. They now lead the regular season series with the Spurs 3-0. They've scored 117, 128, and 147 in those 3 games. The 4th and final game of this season series will be in Austin, Texas. The University of Texas just built a new basketball arena down there, and it is gorgeous. And the Blazers will play the Spurs in Austin on April 6th. That will be the final game of the season between these two teams there, as Dame goes for 37. Shaedon Sharpe with 19 tonight. Hey, you know, there was a little bit of an underrated storyline in this one. The Zach Collins revenge game. It didn't happen. He had 11 points. You know, big drip, as Dame used to call him. I loved being in the locker room when I was covering this team as a reporter. And Zach Collins had the nickname Big Drip from Dame, and he had 11 points tonight. Did you see Drew Eubanks try Zach tonight? He kind of tried to poster him for a second.
I've been a big supporter of Drew Eubanks in this time here. You don't try Big Z. I like Big Z.
Oh, I loved Big Z.
Or Big Drip.
Big Drip. Dude, I was hoping Big Z would work out. I really liked him. Like, one of my favorite regular season Blazer games in recent memory was when the KD Warriors were at Moda. Steve Kerr got ejected. He threw his clipboard, and Klay Thompson was like 2 of 18 from the field, and Big Z was just under his skin, and he was yelling at him. He was in his face. He was yelling at him, letting Klay have it. And, like, that's what Portland needed, man. We needed the tough guy. Where was the tough guy? We haven't had a tough guy in a while.
Zach's great. I kind of wish he were still here. It didn't work out, but we had a chance to meet him his rookie year at Summer League. We, being the NBC crew, me and Jamie Hudson and Peter and Dwight, and did interviews with him, met his family, did a little documentary film on him, and it's a great guy, easy to root for. His family's awesome. His mom's one of the nicest ladies you'll ever meet. Like, she's like the mom, and remember in Ace Ventura when the mom's around bringing cookies and stuff, real sports nut, huh? Yeah. Like, she's like that, but actually not creepy. Like, we get there and she's like, "You guys thirsty? Want Diet Coke? I got Diet Coke. So I'll get you Diet Coke. You want anything to eat? You sure?" And we all drink a Diet Coke. Okay, she's like, "Is a can gone? Because I'll get you another Coke. I'll fill you guys up." Like, she's awesome. But yeah, Big Z's great. Let's test your mind here for a second, or blow your mind real quick. Okay. I'm going to move off of Zach Collins real quick. But the YouTube chat's going off. Okay. First off, we just did have a call asking, how do you find us on YouTube? Guys, it's really simple. Just go to youtube.com. In the search bar, just type in Rip City Radio. It'll pop up. You should see the Rip City Radio 620 logo, etc. If you follow us on Twitter, the link has been tweeted out. If you follow us on Facebook, the tweet is a Facebook post has been sent out with the link to the YouTube channel as well, for the fifth quarter exclusively. So go check that out. Anyway, the dog catcher was talking about the three-point line, and I broke it down a little bit, how it's changed the game here during the commercial break, because if you're watching on YouTube, we can do some more talking during the break. Anyway, I want to go to the 1991-1992 NBA season. That was when the Blazers went to the NBA Finals against the Chicago Bulls. The Milwaukee Bucks led the league in three-point attempts per game. Any idea how many three-point attempts they had?
I mean, single digits, probably 9.
It was not single digits.
11?
In that season, they led with 12.3 as a team. To put that in perspective, Damian Lillard currently leads the NBA with 11 attempts per game by himself. That is how much the NBA has changed. Now, it's interesting because that was 91-92. You fast forward to 95-96, the year that the Bulls went 72-10, and already the three-point shot was starting to change. The Dallas Mavericks led the league that year at 24.9. Not bad, right? 24.9 from 12, so you're almost doubling your attempts. Interestingly enough, this year, the Sacramento Kings have the lowest three-point attempts per game at 36.8. So in 2023, the team that takes the fewest amount of three-point shots still takes 1.5 times what the leading team did in 1995-96. That's just incredible and shows you how much the shot has grown. And currently the Golden State Warriors lead the league at almost 44 attempts per game.
Dude, Steph shot 18 threes himself the other night.
It's unreal.
I was like, wait, how do you not score like 25 points if you shoot 18 threes and you're a great shooter the way he is? You know what I mean?
Yeah, analytics, you got to make let's see. If I make 3 of those, I have 9 points. If I make 3 layups, I have 6 points. Yeah, I'm going to score more points if I hit these threes.
Yeah, I'm going to pull. I mean, the Spurs are supposed to not be a great three-point shooting team, right? 13 threes tonight they made.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, Steve Kerr was known, and this gets talked about a lot, he was known as a sharp shooter. He shot like 2 threes a game. 2 or 3 threes a game.
Which is crazy. That goes to my point I was making, because all those teams, they had great shooters. The three-point shot just wasn't a centerpiece to the offense. So you talk about a guy like Steve Kerr, a guy whose prime run was with the Sonics, but look at a guy like Detlef Schrempf, who was a pretty good three-point shooter. I mentioned Steve Smith earlier. Even a guy like Damon Stoudemire I thought was great for Portland. We had Dave Twardzik on the show earlier today, who 2 years in a row for the Blazers led the league in true shooting percentage, and as a guard shot 62% from the floor in the 76-77 season. That's incredible.
Crazy. So he was draining like long 2s or maybe even 3s.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't the three-point line.
It just the three-point shot is just not there. And if it is, it's just not, when it is, it's just not as big a part of the offense. So it's just incredible to just because again, you can't tell me that those guys who are pure shooters couldn't shoot in today's game. They absolutely could. If you got a shot, it travels.
I'm with you, man. And you get a lot more money these days. Zach Collins, 3 years, $22 million with the Spurs.
Right.
Just look that up. Zach Collins, 3 years, $22 million. And shout out to Big Z. All right, before we go, let's run around the league real quick. We're going to get this final element in. Let's get to our scoreboard report.
The fifth quarter on 620 Rip City Radio presents the Scoreboard Report, brought to you by the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill, A-Lene's ultimate venue for sports fans every Monday night, featuring beer and wing specials and more.
The Portland Trailblazers scored 147 points tonight, but they were not the highest scoring team in the association this night, if you can believe that. The Bucks with 150 on the road against Detroit. They topped the Pistons 150-130. Magic dominate the Celtics 113-98. That's kind of your shocker of the night. Bulls over the Hawks 111-100. Rockets over the T-Wolves 119-114. Jazz topping the Hornets 120-102. Of course, your Blazers over the Spurs 147-127. And finally, a team who's surprising a lot of folks. They look like a playoff team, probably will be a playoff team, knocking off another playoff team. The Kings throttle the Grizzlies. No Ja Morant for the Grizzlies in this, I don't believe. But regardless, the Kings dominate 133-100 over the Grizzlies, and that is your scoreboard report. All right, this was a lot of fun here tonight on the fifth quarter. Appreciate everyone for calling in and chiming in. A lot of fun tonight with myself and Chris Burkhart. The Blazers back in the win column. 147-127. They improved to 12-10 at home, 22-25 on the year. They are at home for a couple more games before they head back out on the road Utah on Wednesday, Toronto on Saturday, and Atlanta on Monday. All 7 o'clock start times, all at Moda Center. So we have a normal show tomorrow, Rip City Drive, with Chad and Dwight. Chad will be back, for everyone asking. He will be back. And then myself and Chris Burkhart have a call of Southridge against Mountainside High School Hoops tomorrow night. Looking forward to that as well. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. Been a tough 48 hours for the Blazers family, but fun to end it on a high note with a nice win tonight for the Blazers at Moda Center. For Chris Burkhart and everyone back at home, I'm Preston Highfield. Thank you for listening, and an ode to the Shawns wherever you may be. Good night, Rip City.